Alright, it is 10:05 a.m. and I want to go over one trade with TXTM as well as a few missed opportunities. This one did have like a morning panic bounce play drawn from the 17.4s to the 14.7, which is definitely considerable in terms of difference between those two prices. And there was a point where it had a drop here, it was trading back and forth. But then once we were starting to have like this little mini bottom right here, there was a point where I could have actually bought at 15.2 and I hesitated. And I shouldn't have because I've seen this happen multiple times when we have a morning panic bounce play and the ones that really work out, not always, but a lot of them will have a bottom and then it uptrends a little and then it has that mini bottom. And I saw that mini bottom, I still hesitated and then it had a nice move towards the upside. And I totally take the L for not trading that one. And even if it were to have failed, I've seen this happen more often than not. Make a move towards the upside and not fail and continue to break the bottom. The only thing that was kind of against, this setup looking nice was that VWAP was kind of close to the price action, but sometimes if it is too close, it kind of means that it's going to more than likely than not break past it, which is the case here. And then I was interested in this right here. I did have a verified cancel where we had that morning panic bounce play here, and now this is a higher low setup. It was downtrending, and I drew a trend line that looks like it was following the price action. And as you can see right here, this is when it just barely got out of that trend line, and then it was right here. I tried to buy 8,000 shares at 15.3, and that was at 9.48. But as you can see, it just had like a big spike towards the upside. Just wasn't an opportunity for me to be filled because it just shot up the way it did. I guess I wasn't the only person who saw that. And I mean, I did get to VWAP, but it didn't do much more. It would have been pretty nice though if I was in at 15.3. And again, this one didn't really get much past VWAP or anything like that, but it would have been nice to have been a part of that. So I definitely took an L missing this one. I shouldn't have hesitated, even if it were to have failed once again. This one I don't feel bad missing. And then I did trade it one more time. It was one of those things where it has that morning panic bounce play. We have a higher low, a dip under VWAP. And then now it's getting closer to VWAP, and then it's looking nice, and it looks like it might try to break past VWAP and then continue to make a move towards the upside. I did buy, and I did get filled here, 8,000 shares at 957. I was right here at 957, right at the tippy top, because it really looked like it was going to make a move towards the upside. The price action looked really nice, and I thought I was going to be in right before we break 157, and then it can go to the 16s ideally, but that was not the case. And for the next few minutes, it looked like crap, but I wasn't going to cut the trade until it were to have broken, I believe, 15.2, because there was a big bidder at 52. Not this one right here, but it was actually another one. And worst case scenario, I thought, I'll be cutting it if it breaks 15 and maybe with a panic I'm out at 14. Worst case scenario, maybe 14.5. I'm not sure, but I think I did stick to a 20 to a $25 risk level. And I did sell in two pieces here. So again, I was in at 957. It was looking really ugly. All this price action here was just ugly. Too many people were dumping their shares at the bid. It just wasn't looking nice, but I was actually pretty much saved because you can see this 5 million share bidder at 15.2 showed up. And when that happened, which I believe was here, it was just very crazy, very similar to this candle. Lots of buying action. It just shot up straight in the air past VWAP, and I just didn't think it would be very sustainable, but I did sell in two pieces, which was good. At 10:03, I sold 4,000 shares at 16. So 10:03 into this uptrend, I sold half of my position right here at 16. And then at 10:04, the next minute, I sold the other half at 16.2 right here. So yeah, that was the case with that, even though it doesn't really. Oh, I guess 10:04 was right here. It doesn't really show 16.2. Oh, maybe I got these shares sold at 16.2 and a half. I don't really know, but I'll look over and see where exactly I saw. But I didn't think it was going to be a continued momentum. Now maybe, I broke past VWAP, made a move to 16.3, and now it's going to drop and now hold VWAP so that it's not going to break under it anymore like it was here, and then it continues to make a move over a longer period of time. That could totally be a realistic thing. and I'll continue to watch this. CMGR was a very impressive first green day, nice uptrending stock. I did draw a trend line on the other screen, and it hasn't really been anything that I've been wanting to trade. When I saw it was already way up, so I wasn't gonna chase it or something crazy like that. But maybe if this thing can have like a nice clean drop towards VWAP, it doesn't have to touch it. It could just be near it, and then it shows that maybe it's trying to reverse and uptrend again. I might be interested in that. Otherwise, this will just be something I'll continue to be watching, and I will make an update. There hasn't really been anything else that I've been wanting to trade, although GEGI did have this uptrend from the 46s to the 57s. Maybe I could have bought right here at 49 when it breaks it, but I don't like this stock very much. And then when it had that drop under VWAP, I could have taken it as well, but again, from yesterday's trading, I just don't like this stock. I'm glad I was able to get one of the trades with TXTM. Shouldn't have, again, missed out on this one, but that's just another reason and another example of why I should consider a morning panic bounce when it makes this little baby bottom that's higher from the actual bottom. It is 10:26 a.m. I had an attempt to buy, but I quickly canceled the trade. I did consider buying 9,000 shares at 14.2. That was at 10.18, which was right here, because it looked like it was trying to do a turnaround. It did have a big, massive sell-off. That big 5 million share bidder at 15.2 was real, and it got taken out. And then I guess the fact that somebody brought the price all the way down to 15.2, and then all of those shares were taken out, that made it look super bearish. And it did turn around, towards the bottom and downtrend, and it did get as low as this point right here at this 13.6. But I canceled the order really quickly because I just didn't like the price action. Something seemed off about it, and then it did downtrend. And now I can try to do it, but I don't mind missing it because, well, I guess it looks better now. But when I was looking at this thing had way, like, I guess it's like because it just wiped out a bunch of people with this volume. But I didn't want to trade it because I just didn't like how many sellers there were at the ask compared to the people at the bid. It just didn't seem that strong. But now it actually looks like it could do something. So I guess I'll keep watching this. But I also want to note that this one is pretty impressive too. If this can do like a head and shoulders, a shoulder that had a downtrends, and then it makes that little dip before it makes the shoulder, I might trade that. I wanted a dip towards VWAP, didn't necessarily have to touch it, but it didn't drop that much. And I guess that shows how impressively strong this one is because it really made a nice move towards the upside. I'll make an update later. I'm gonna keep looking at TXTM. Okay, it is 11:18 and I had a second trade with TXTM for a very long time. It was like watching paint dry, and I saw the drop here, then I saw the drop here, and I thought, this could be like the head of an inverse head and shoulders. And at first I didn't want to trade any of this. I wanted it to maybe make a shoulder here, the head, it uptrends, and then it makes a shoulder, and then I'll be a part of that for the inverse head and shoulders. But eventually, over a longer period of time, I was more and more interested in buying it, especially when it was starting to follow this trend line right here. And I eventually did get in at 11.11. I bought 12,000 shares at 134, which was right here. And the idea is that it was starting to finally break out of this support resistance level right here, with the top being this 134 level. So when I got in at 11.11, it looks like it was trying to break past 134, and then, best case scenario, it gets to VWAP, and then it even tries to get above it, right? So I was in it for that reason, and I was sticking to the trend line, but I did sell half of my position on an uptrend, which has been part of my plan. At 11.16, I did sell half of my position at 137, which was right here. I sold half of my position. And then I thought, okay, well, with the other half, I'm going to sell it if it breaks this uptrending trend line. And that's why I sold the other piece at this was a pretty good fill. I thought I was going to get 135, but I did sell the other half at 136 the next minute at 11.17 when it looked like it was going to break the trend line, and it did do it the next minute, as you can tell, but it didn't drop very much. I mean, it broke the trend line, but it was just brief. It wasn't like it breaks it and then continues a downtrend. So maybe this thing can actually try to uptrend over a longer period of time and maybe even get to this 14 level or VWAP or perhaps even above it. So maybe there's a lot of room left for more profitability, but I think I'm happy with the way I traded it. Again, I saw it right here, not necessarily when it broke the trend line, but when it looked like it was going to because the price action was bad and there was a stack of sellers, I think, at the ask. I want to see what this thing can do over a longer period of time. I haven't really um, traded this one or had any interest in trading it, but on the other screen, I do have this trend line when it was following it. Yeah, just under this level. It was roughly like this, and this thing has been following it very nicely, as you can see. You know, it was under it, and then it kind of came back aggressively, and I haven't seen this in a long time when you can draw a trend line, it breaks past the trend line, and then it tries to aggressively catch up with it, but then it actually catches up with it, which is really impressive. And it had a dip. Maybe I could have tried to have traded it, but I don't know. I was too busy looking at TXTM. Eventually, if I see this more often than not, and I get more practice, I can be a part of this setup right here when the stock is up trending so aggressively strong. It has a drop towards VWAP, but it doesn't get close to it. It just kind of floats above it, and then it breaks the day high. And that could be a setup that I can try to be a part of in the future. And at that point, I can draw like a trend line maybe from, I guess we'll just pretend we're in it, maybe from here to here, right? And I guess maybe I wouldn't even have sold that well because of that. But that could be a step in the right direction. And yeah, that's really about it. I just want to see what TXTM does. It's still trying to follow this line. Not bad overall, and I think I did trade a proper amount of shares this time. On the other one, I was undersized. I didn't have the right amount of shares. All right, it is 2:16 p.m. and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to communicate this as well as I would like to, but I think I learned a lot from TXTM, and ultimately, if I don't trade anything else, I'm going to be down just $8 on the day, which is great. To just lose $8 and learn a whole bunch of lessons with this stock that, as you can see, ultimately had a big tsunami panic. Is now down 55% on the day, and it was down even more at some point. You know, when I was first trading it way back there, I knew that this thing was potentially going to do something like that. I saw like a symmetrical triangle happening, but I didn't bother. I just wanted to trade the price action, and that's why I had a lot of the times a very wide risk level. But this thing eventually did the panic, and I was not here when this happened, and this was a pretty nice one. And it's very easy to trade compared to this one right here, which was a lot worse. This was a nice move from the 80s to the 105 level, so it got back to a penny, and that was like a 20-25% move. That was pretty impressive. And then when it started to drop here, I was watching it and I saw how it broke the day low, so I thought this could be like a morning panic bounce play lower low setup, and this is what it ultimately ended up being. And I think I did good with one trade, and then the other four trades I didn't do as well, but I think next time I can do better. I did have 5 trades right here. And the first one was when I bought 10,000 shares at 75, and that was at 129, which was right here. It was looking like it was trying to do a level 2 turnaround right around here at 129, just after it briefly broke this level right here, and I thought it could break under it. And now it'll come back and then try to regain itself and get above the 80s, and then this could be like a move towards VWAP ideally. And that was not the case. And my risk level was the day low breaking, which was the 70 level. And unfortunately, I kind of got screwed here because I tried to cancel, not cancel, I tried to cut losses when it was looking like it was going to break the day low, which was a risk low, but I was not able to it. I didn't get filled when it was starting to panic. And as you can see, that's a pretty big exaggerative move in these two candles when you look at the rest of the chart besides these big panic candles. And yeah, it really sucked because I was in it right here at 75 when it looked like it was going to turn around. And the problem is that I wait for a confirmation, which usually means that I'm buying at the top if it's not going to work out, which I think is fine. But again, It kind of sucked because I wasn't able to cut the trade right at 70 the way I wanted it to. But instead, I got caught in the panic and it did drop more. And I got out ultimately at 131 at 67. And that really sucked right here at 131, 67. At least I didn't get the very bottom at 65, but I got 67. And again, that was me trying to cut losses when it was looking like it was going to break the day low, which was the sub penny 70 level. And I think really I did really good with this trade, but I think the issue is that after that, I had these little tiny trades, and as you can see, the amount of money, these were the two winning trades I had, and I lost 8. That was really unfortunate because I wasn't able to get out when I wanted to, and I had to sell for a bit lower. And then the second trade, I had another attempt, and then another attempt, and you can see how I started to lose less money because I started trading this more conservatively. But sometimes I feel like it gets too emotional where after this first trade, I did get in at 72 at 132 the next minute when it looks like, one of those things where it might break this round number, this day low of 70, and then we have all the panic, and then it comes back immediately above 70, and then it uptrends. And I've seen that happen a few times, and that was not the case with this one. It continued to drop even more, but I was in it again at 132 at 72. So right here at 72 is when I got in. And then this immediately had a red candle the next minute, but it didn't break the day low. It didn't break the day low, but I still got out at 69 at 134, which was right here on this big red candle, throwing things off, and I got out at 134. I think this is where instead of having all of these little baby day trades that I did, this one was fine. Right? In fact, let me just get rid of the other two since this is a different pattern. I think this trade was fine. I just wasn't able to cut the trade when I wanted it to, and that sucks. But, and then I got in right here, but I didn't like, it's just like one of those things where you get played because you're in, it looks like it's going to turn around right then and there, and then you're out because it looks like it's going to break the day low. And then you get in, and then you get out, and then you get in, and then the price action level 2, blah, 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 you get out, and you just paper cut yourself into a million pieces. And I think that's the issue when it comes to really big emotional, like jumpy, choppy panics like this. So I think in the future, what's going to happen is that I did that one attempt right there and it didn't work and it broke the day low and it got as low as this 65 sub penny level. But if I want to try it again, which is going to be at a different price point, I think I can go ahead and just try, but just actually freaking stick to the risk level, which in this case would have been this level right here, 65 breaking. I would have had one trade here, and then I would have had another trade, maybe that one at 72, and then I would have held this trade until it actually broke the day low, which ultimately happened here. But then I would have had just one trade there. I would have, I think, maybe not have mentally have burned out or risk, myself getting burned out because I'm doing all of these trades when I'm getting in and out, trying to find the very top that breaks the resistance level, and then it doesn't work out. I sell on the turnaround when it looks like it's going to do the other thing and break the day low, and then it doesn't do anything and it goes back and forth. So I hope I make myself kind of clear, and I hope any of you guys who are watching this can maybe try to learn from my trading here and the price action. And I think that's something I could do. I could just try one more time and just really stick to my risk level and not try to call, oh, this looks like a top, I'm going to get out, or this looks like it's going to break the day low. Before it does, I'm going to get out. I think if you just keep it like that, nice and simple, it'll just be better overall. And I did try again. Yeah, this was the second one. No, this was yeah, this was the first one when I got out 67, and then the second one when I got out 69. And then this one I tried one more time at 139 right here, and I got in when it looks like it was going to turn around. I got in at 73 right here, right under 74, and then I got out at 142. Wait, let me make sure I got that right. Okay, yeah, I got in and out the same minute, actually, seems like it. Yeah, at 139. I got in at 73 and I got out at 72. So that was just $1 of loss. And then I tried at 142, the thing I was talking about. Now, as you can see, I only traded 1,000 shares here, so this was like a $7.20 position. This wasn't my actual size at 142. I did try one more time with that thing in mind, and I was in at 72. And this one I traded well. I cut the trade at 145 when it broke the day low, and I got out at 66, which was fine. Even though it did turn around, it didn't continue to panic. That's totally fine. And then I did try one more time with proper size, and that was at 158, which was a bit later right here at 158. I got in at 75, and I got out the next minute at 75. I think I could have had that one trade where it did break the day low and I had an unlucky sell. And then I could have tried again and then I would have cut losses right here. And then I could have tried that one more time, the one I did right here. And I could have held on to it until it actually breaks the day low, which right now is trading 74 by 75. So I would be just down one tick, right? Because this is on the bid. And this thing can fail. It can get back to 63 and break it. But I think if I have the ability, and I don't want to trade it now because I don't know. I just feel like I should experience the pain of not trading appropriately and missing out on the setup. And then next time I can be able to do it and have that conviction to trade the right way. It almost looks like an inverse head and shoulders, a shoulder head, and then maybe it might make like a shoulder here and head towards VWAP, which would be ideal. So if I was still holding this setup at 158, you know, maybe it'd be a little annoying to be holding it for 25 minutes and it's going back and forth and it's pretty emotional at times, but I think that's better than just trying to get in and out 50 times and you get a bunch of paper cuts without taking the key breakout level or day low risk level into mind. So I want to make an update as to what this one does ultimately, and there hasn't been anything that I've been interested in with CMGR, but maybe if it tries to hold VWAP and try to put up higher lows, maybe that could be something I could trade, but I'd rather stay away for this one. For now, I'm going to stay away from it. I'll make an update as to what TXTM does. I'm very happy to have only been down $8, roughly $8 today, and learned a lot of good lessons. And ideally, next time I get a setup like this, I can actually trade it better with everything in mind and be that much more profitable, and perhaps by then have more size too. Okay, it is 9:29 p.m. and I am here to call it off. Overall, I'm going to be down on the day just 90 pennies because I actually had one more trade with TXTM. I just saw the pattern and I really had to take it because I just really figured that, you know, if this thing is not going to work out, if it's not going to bounce, then I'm going to be a part of it and I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do and trade the pattern that I see is working more often than not. And if it just isn't going to work out, if it's just not the stock that's going to follow the pattern, that is too freaking bad. And I did think that today was a pretty good improvement because I had that one last trade and I saw the inverse head and shoulders, the shoulder, the head, the shoulder. The thing was down, you know, more than 50% on the day. It was a pretty significant downtrend. And I saw the pattern and I thought, you know what? I'm going to do the thing that I was talking about. I'm going to take a long position and it's going to do two things. Well, actually three things, but it's going to get to VWAP or it's going to break the day low. And I guess the third one will be that it will just trade back and forth between VWAP and the day low and not necessarily go either of those two directions. That could have been a possibility, but I figured that I'm going to try. I'm going to long this setup. If it breaks the day low and I have to cut losses, that sucks. If it gets to VWAP, that's going to be awesome. I bought 10,000 shares at 70 and that was at 241, which was right around here at 241. It could have totally failed. It didn't have to get to VWAP, and it actually got way above VWAP. And I could have sold my last piece a lot better, but I did sell half of my position much later at 248, which was right here, 248. I did sell half of my position at 75, and then I did sell the last piece at 257, so that was a bit later. Right here, 257. I saw the last piece at this sub penny 80 level, and this last piece, This is the piece that I could have just said, all right, this last piece, I'm going to just sell it if it breaks a day low, or I'm going to sell it if it breaks or gets to VWAP, or if it just gets near the end of the day, I'll just, get rid of the last position right then and there, wherever the price is. I'm going to give myself some slack because this was a pretty significant resistance level, this 80 level. This is like where they had the first bottom. And it did struggle. It did get to 74 after it tried, and it got past this 80 sub penny level just a little bit, but it eventually came back. And I wasn't here anymore seeing this price action, but this thing was super impressive because it got all the way to 11 and a half, which is massive. And just out of curiosity, I have my trades here. Let's see what would have happened if I just went ballsy, didn't sell, a piece of my position for a slight profit during an uptrend, and let's just see what it would have been. That would have been massive. Imagine getting a 64% profit. And is that completely realistic? I mean, it's there, it's possible. It would have been hard, but this trend line that I drew, it followed it pretty nicely. There were a few dips here, and perhaps I would have had to have cut it if I were to have held it longer, not because of the thing right here with the resistance level, but maybe when it broke under the trend line. But it's just a guideline really, and it helps more often than not, and it did hold it in theory. It just wasn't perfect here, and this was pretty nice. And this could be the kind of setup that with more experience I can trade $1,000 or $5,000 position or something larger and be super duper profitable with. Like these are the ones that can make a whole month, or like a longer period of time. It can really make up a whole bunch of trades and just be super profitable. This is something that I want to be a part of more. I'm very happy that the setup played out. I've seen some of these that drop 50% and they never get to VWAP. They just completely fail. And I never did trade this one, but this one was pretty interesting to look at. I did have a slight interest when it got to VWAP and it was holding it, but it wasn't able to really uptrend and just kind of sold off. But this is still up massively. That's really it. I had a whole bunch of trades. I don't look forward to screenshotting all of the charts so I can put it on Profitly, but I think this was an awesome way to lose 90 pennies, with the thing in mind that had I have sold the second piece a lot better, I could have been much more profitable. I could have been green all the day, and best case scenario, I could have been super profitable trading this massive move towards the upside. So I definitely have a lot of room for improvement, but I think I got a lot better from this trading, and I think that's the name of the game while I'm still trading small. And God willing, again, I can be able to trade some of these with more experience and with much larger size. That's all I have for today.